My name is Daniel Scott with UDAYA.com, and this is Average Yoga, a series of tutorials specifically designed for people who don't do yoga yet. Take what you want, leave what you don't, go at your own pace, and learn to build your practice from the ground up. Are you ready to have the most ultimate warrior ever? Ultimate Warrior 1 and 2. We're going to work on just perfecting the warrior pose. So when you go out to a class or you practice at home, you know that you feel like a victorious warrior every time you step into this. So let's do a little talking about the Sanskrit. Virabhadrasana, right? You're going to hear that a million times. And everyone's going to go, what does that go? That's warrior pose. There's a warrior, his name is Vira. You could do the whole thing if you want to look into it. Sanskrit's pretty simple, but pose, not so much. Let's start with Warrior 2, because it keeps things a bit more even with the shoulders over the hips. So start with your feet wider than your hips. Turn your feet towards the long edge of your mat. And once you have this, spread the toes. Now, for the sake of conversation, my right side, over here, this is my right side. I don't know what side is at home, but this is my right side. This is going to be my front side. Okay? My back side, my left toes, I'm going to keep those pointing towards the long edge, and I'm going to turn my toes towards the short edge. Now, some people are going to tell you, got to line the heels up. Some people are going to tell you, got to take the front heel, put it in line with the back arch, and maybe they're right. But the thing is, they might not be right for you. You need to find what works best for your body. Personally, I'm a huge fan of using what I got, so a lot of times I use the long edge of the mat just to make sure my body's lined up perfectly. So you take your front foot, heel, and pinky toe in line with the back edge. Take your back heel. For me, heels work real well. I've set myself up for greatness. Now, bend that front knee. Extend that front knee. Bend that front knee. Extend that front knee. You can do this 1,000 times. Your thighs are going to look super great. But the idea is, as you bend the knee, it's not just flop and bend. The idea is unlock the knee and use the muscles to track the knee towards the toes. And if you look past your knee, you'll see that the knee stacks just about when the toes come below the horizon line. So if the toes were the sun, it'd be like a sunset. You can bend the knee until you can't see the toes anymore. You might find that the knee is directly above the heel. Fingers crossed, thumbs pressed. Now, that's the front leg. The knee directly over the heel, weights going into the heel, spread the toes and repress down and try to feel that whole footprint from the back of the heel to the front of the toes. Now that's really good for the front foot, but then we have to look at our back foot. Try to push the back edge of the foot, the pinky edge of the foot, so strongly that the arches lift up. If you were to kind of peek under there, you'd see like a little cave happening. Amazing. Don't pick up the big toe. Try to push the big toe down. Now that you got that back foot, bring your awareness back to the front foot, extend the leg, and then re-bend the knee so you feel full grounding through both front and back, starting from the ground up. Now, knee over front heel, back arch is lifted. Try to draw your back kneecap into the hip, so engage that thigh. Now, if you want to, you can take the hands to the inner thighs and roll the inside of the thighs to the outside edges of the knees. This is going to help open up the hips. The idea is to keep the hips also in line with those heels. Sometimes the hip wants to turn, especially if you have tighter legs. You might take a shorter stance, smaller bend in the knee, so you can try to extend the hip back, or longer leg to open this pelvis up in line with the long edge of the mat. You're going to have to play around with that. Now, from here, take your thumbs, stick them under your armpits, shoulders to the ears, shoulders down the spine, let the elbows hang towards the hips. Rotate your torso in line with your hips. Now, the most important thing is not to let the shoulders ride up. So if anything, have the shoulders down the spine, and then lift the elbows and extend the arms out, palms down. Sometimes you see people like, bam! They don't understand that the idea is trying to keep the knuckles, elbows, and shoulders in line with the back arm. You'll also notice my feet keep sliding because I'm sweating. So if you're human, like me, you might have to regrip and change directions to play with it. So now I'm going to go to my back leg. Same idea. Bend the knee, stack everything up. You can get all hoity-toity with the thumbs and the armpits, or you can just put the arms out and then try to lower them lower than you think. In fact, a nice little trick is turn the palms up, bend the elbows. Look back and forth, look down and around, re-engage the thighs, start with the feet, And then when you feel pretty good here, extend the arms. If you start shaking after a while, it means it's working. It means you're working because it's work. So you hang out, try to find that line for as long as you can in all directions. Navel's drawing in, fill in the back of the spine, looking over the back hands, looking over the front hands, making sure everything's open. When it's time to come out, you can switch. So do this a few times. Maybe it just starts with the feet. Bending, finding whatever length that you need, and then extending the arms. A lot of times in classes, we don't have enough time to set up these poses the way that we want them to be. So using this soft, slow movement and then training your body to get in to those perfect little alignments, you'll find what works for you. That's Warrior 2. Time to work on Warrior 1. It's a little bit different. So sure, if you just start from here, you're going to find the hips are in line, just like Warrior 2. But the idea for Warrior 1, you want to square your hips off from the long edge of the mat to the short edge of the mat. So you might find a shorter stance is going to really help you. And you're also going to find if you try to keep the heels in line, it's really hard if you have tight hips. So take the feet wider apart from the long edge to the long edge, and maybe even closer together, and then rotate from here. It'd be nice to keep the heel down, but if you have to pick the back heel up, that's fine. It's kind of like a high lunge. We'll talk about that in another video. But if you want to keep the heel down, work on squaring the hips off. Take the hands to the hips, take your elbows back, shoulders down the spine. You can bend and extend that front knee and try to think that the headlights of your hips, right? The headlights of your hips are shining in the direction of the short edge of the mat. Now, a lot of times, the moment we try to raise our arms, we start choking ourselves off because a lot of people have their hands together. For this, take your hands wide, take your thumbs up or palms slightly in or turned up, shoulders down the spine, and just be here. Like you're waiting for a hug from a friend you haven't seen in a long time. You might not actually get it. It's fine. Shoulders down the spine, navel draws in, rebend that front knee. You can look down, spread the toes, feel that back hip rotate forward, that front hip rotate back, squaring off. Now, if you want to raise the arms, it's not about how high, it's simply about how much you can lift without choking your shoulders off. Don't worry about arching the back. Try to keep the shoulders over the hips without leaning back. So raise the arms until you feel like the chest starts to lift, and then lower them just till you're comfortable. Over time, as shoulders begin to open and the torso begins to open, the arms can move independent of the side body. Having your arms up is part of the deal, but totally unnecessary. So if you really want to keep the hands on the hips and shoulders down the spine, just to get that balance, go for it. As you rotate from side to side, again, if you rotate on the heels, you're going to have to readjust the feet. So take the feet wider, maybe the feet closer, square off, and then work on the arms going up last. Get everything from the hips down out of the way, and then work from there to raise up into your Warrior 1. Going from side to side again, you might have to adjust. That's fine, no rush. When you're feeling good, set your foundation. Build from the foundation up towards the hips, shoulders down the spine, lengthen the side bodies. As the arms raise up, make sure you don't collapse or extend farther than you need to. So the arms can be here, the arms can be wide, the arms can be at the hips. Most important, head, shoulders, hips, feet, breathing. Don't forget to breathe. Whew. It's a lot of wood to chop, those Warrior 1s and Warrior 2s. But the thing is, if you can find the difference between lengthening and keeping the hips open and squaring the hips off, it's as easy as remembering the length of your yoga mat on the side and the front. Warrior 1 goes to the front, Warrior 2 goes to the side, but all the warriors go to the most important part of the practice, you. You are the one thing that ties everything together. So make sure that you feel comfortable in everything that you do. Don't worry about how it looks. Bring awareness to how it feels. So, how'd all that land for you? Hopefully it sparked a fire. And if you're looking to fan the flame, head over to UDAYA.com and enter the promo code AVERAGE J-O-G-A. You're going to have access to a lot more classes from myself and a host of amazing teachers from around the world of all shapes, styles, and colors. By all means, let this serve as a great foundation to build a home practice on that you can have for the rest of your life. Enjoy, enjoy.